how the psoas muscle works and how it also mirrors the function of the rotator cuff. A muscle called the subscapularis is what we're going to get into when it comes to the rotator cuff, but it's very similar to the psoas. So let's talk about the psoas. The psoas muscle, without it, we couldn't lift our leg up, right? It attaches to every single, I'm trying to get a little closer here, every single vertebrae of the lumbar spine. Then it travels through, go ahead and back up just a little bit, travels through and hooks underneath the femur, right? So when we feel when we see our leg lift up, because this muscle is pulling and it's squeezing these vertebrae. So it's pulling that femur up and it's squeezing these vertebrae to do it, right? This is where it anchors. Now, this muscle has two parts. There is the long iliopsoas, and then there's a long psoas major that attaches here, but the iliopsoas, which starts on the inner fossa of the ilium, comes down as well and attaches to that same point. So we have a lot of leverage on this bone and these bones to pull this up. So let's say this area gets real short. Well, guess what? These bones move, right? And when the bones shift out of place, they can lock into a dysfunctional position. We call that a subluxation of the SI joint, where our ilium rotates out, our sacrum gets locked, and all these nerves get pinched. Now, when the ilium gets locked, this leg will raise off the ground higher on the side of the ilium that's out, right? So again, when the ilium lifts and rotates, or shifts and rotates, it brings that leg up with it, okay? And you can actually see when someone's laying down, you pull the leg, you can see, wow, this leg's shorter, this leg's longer. Is that natural? Because if it is, then we have a lot less work to do. If it's unnatural, we have to see, okay, what bones can we influence to align and take pressure off the nerves? So why is this area so important? Because just like the shoulder blade has an inner fossa, okay? It has a intersection here, and this is where that subscapularis attaches and grabs onto. We're at the humerus. So just like this area, it grabs onto the humerus. So if we lifted up our body, put it, on all fours, this muscle which attaches to the inner fossa, sorry, it goes down. It's hard to get an angle, but it goes through and attaches to this arm. Why? So it can bring the arm back towards the body. Okay. So both of these muscles bring the limbs closer to the core. And that's really why they're so noticeably similar. And it's hard to take away from the fact that not only are they similar, but they almost look like if vertebrae grew apart, that would be what our shoulder blades would be. If the vertebrae of the sacrum grew apart, then they probably would make the hip bones, right? So if we have these small little ribs that come off, well, that would be very ironic that the vertebrae would also have ribs, right? These extended versions of function over time have developed so we could move better and become more efficient. All right? So this is why I wanted to show you my perspective on the psoas, the body, and how it relates to general dysfunction. Now, of course, if we look at the skull,